And I think for my final third video here today, well, I want to give you a little update on the house thing. We went and looked at the house, the one I was telling you about, 2+ acres, whatever it was. They put some money into this house, no messing around. I don't know if it was a flipping place. They want to buy a house, flip it, fix it up, whatever. They put some money, high-end stuff in the house, flooring, everything was just like pretty top notch. But I still think it was overpriced. And I think what I'd feel comfortable offering, they may not be ready to do. But then again, you never know how much of a hurry someone's in to offload something. If they take a ridiculously low offer that I'm going to possibly throw out their way, maybe we'll do something with it. But I'm still waiting on the mortgage guy to now get back to me to say, besides the pre-qualified, are we pre-approved? And he's like, well, you got to keep, X amount of, you need to put about 20 grand aside, in an account for 60 days. It needs to stay there, That'll get you pre-approved as opposed to pre-qualified, pre-approved being better. But I'm like, well, I kind of found like 2 houses total that we really like. Oh, we really like that. And if these don't end up going through, I don't know that I'm going to be in a hurry all of a sudden and just go getting into something. So I don't know that I want to liquidate any of my assets that are liquid, such as, and I told him I have silver and I have these Bitcoin. You familiar with Bitcoin? He said he was. And for Bitcoin to work, you got to liquidate it and put it in the account, basically cash. And it just sit there for 60 days. I'm not liquidating any Bitcoin, nothing now. I'm not touching that because that stuff is like fireworks going off. I said, but I have silver. I have X amount of silver, and could we use that? And I've got some cash I could easily put over there, some cash and some silver. Can I do that? He's, I could sell the silver today. It's just as liquid as cash, practically. Same with the Bitcoin. He said, well, if you can, scan the receipts and stuff to prove you bought X number of silver bars or what have you, that should work. That should be okay too. I said, well, I can do that. I definitely can do that. So let's go there. That way on paper I have it, and you understand I could liquidate it if need be. But I'm not liquidating anything right now just to get a pre-approval as opposed to pre-qualified. I just want to be able to make an offer, but at the same time, I need to know what I'm qualified to, how much of a loan can I qualify for, first of all, so I can kind of know what I want to look at too. And do I want to spend a bunch of high dollar, money on a house right now? Or like I've been saying, wait for the crash to come and make out like a bandit on property. But if someone snatches a house up that you'd really like to have, it's too late. What are you going to do? Wait till the house comes along. I don't know. That's why it's like, what do you do to, So I'm just going to tell you, for now, I'm going to wait and see what happens with this. If he gets back to me, say Monday, yep, we got everything's good, yada, 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 you're approved for this amount, you could go ahead and make an offer, okay. I'll probably go ahead and make a ridiculous offer, to be honest with you, and see if I get any bites on it. And if it's not anywhere near my ridiculous offer, maybe the end of the story of the whole housing thing for now for me. But at least I know, well, I'm pre-qualified, so at least I'll spend some time still looking around just in case, that one thing pops up. Because there's stuff coming on literally every day, every week. And like the realtor told me who showed us the house today, he's like, you go to Zillow or even Realtor.com, those can be at 5, 6, 7 days behind, a week to 10 days behind with the actual inventory that's really on there or coming up. So he's like, with me, I have direct access. You can kind of give me guidelines and I'll just feed you any new stuff that comes up. And I said, okay, so I'll ultimately do that. But again, not in a real hurry to move. I just saw that and was like, oh, hits you in the heart like, oh, that's the one. That's the house. That's it. But then again, maybe it's not it. We'll find out. So I just want to give you a little update. DailyReckoning.com, Mr. Byron King has posted an article just a couple days ago. And it makes some sense. And let me, when I read something that really makes sense, it has to do with the US dollar and stuff and its demise. I really want to find out more about it. Is this true? Is that really, I don't have to wonder, is it true? We know it's true. Girl, it's true. China's next step to destroy the dollar. China is currently modifying the terms of its oil trade with Saudi Arabia. Specifically, China is working on a deal to pay for Saudi oil using Chinese yuan. This effort poses a direct threat to the security of the dollar. If this China-Saudi deal happens, yuan for oil, it's another step closer to the grave for the petrodollar, which, as you know, is the U.S. dollar, which has dominated global finance since 1974. You can revisit Jim Rickard's article about the assault on the dollar here if you want to, he puts a link out. To recap, the petrodollar is weakening because the dollar is losing power as the world's reserve currency. This is similar to the way pounds sterling gradually fell out of favor during the decline of the British Empire. The decline may take a long time, but what we're seeing today is another step in the death march of that dollar. I'll tell you how to protect your wealth in dollars after I explain this shift, he says. Since 1974, Saudi Arabia has accepted payment for almost all of its oil exports to all countries in dollars, right? So they export to, some no-name country in middle of Africa. They have to do it in U.S. dollars. So that country, the no-name country, has to find a way to get its hand in U.S. dollars, which means currency swaps and other stuff and buying treasury or whatever. They got to play the game. Okay, so that's what that means. And it says this is due to an agreement between Saudi Arabia and the U.S. dating back to the days of President Nixon. Beginning about 15 years ago, China ceased being self-sufficient in oil and began buying Saudi oil. As per all Saudi customers, China had to pay in dollars, U.S. dollars. Even today, China still pays for Saudi oil in U.S. dollars and not their own currency, the yuan, which perturbs China's leaders. Since 2010, China's total oil imports have nearly doubled. According to Bloomberg News, China has surpassed the U.S. as the world's largest oil importing nation. As China imports more and more oil, the idea of paying for that oil in yuan instead of dollars becomes more critical. China does not want to use dollars to buy oil, so China is beginning to squeeze Saudi over the form of currency in which their oil trade is conducted. China is doing this by steadily lowering its oil purchases from Saudi. Presently, China's top oil suppliers are Russia, Saudi, and the West African nation of Angola. Backing up these three key suppliers are a combination of sources in Iran, Iraq, and Oman, which help to diversify China's oil supply chain. In the past few years, China has shifted oil purchases away from Saudi, and Russia's oil exports have risen from 5% to 15% of the Chinese total. China imports more oil from Russia, Iran, Iraq, and Oman, less from Saudi. Saudi's share of Chinese imports has dropped from over 25% in 2008 to under 15% now. Meanwhile, Saudi competitors Russia, Iran, Iraq, and Oman are selling more oil to China. Saudi would like to reverse this declining trend of oil trade with China. However, these kind of major oil flows don't just happen in a vacuum. There's a good reason why Russian oil sales to China are increasing. As you'll see in Naomi's article, trade and financial services are often closely linked. Over the past few years, China has deepened its trading routes with Russia. Now, China pays for Russian oil in yuan. Russia, in turn, uses yuan to buy goods from China. Beyond trade in goods, within the past 6 months, Russia has set up a branch of the Bank of Russia in Beijing. From there, Russia can use its Chinese yuan to buy gold on the Shanghai Exchange. In a sense, Chinese-Russian oil trade is now being backed up by gold, or a gold standard. Looking ahead, Saudi Arabia will find itself more and more locked out of the Chinese oil market if it won't sell oil for yuan. But to do this, the Saudis must move away from the U.S. dollar and from petrodollars. If Saudi wants to maintain and increase access to China's oil market, that is. And of course, there's going to be other countries that do the same, which is going to put pressure on Saudi Arabia to change things from using the U.S. dollar, ultimately. That's my comment. Anyways, we'll know more about the likelihood of this after Donald Trump's tour of the Middle East. If Saudi begins accepting yuan for oil, all bets are off on the petrodollar. Yuan for oil will entirely change the monetary dynamics of global energy flows. I expect the US dollar to weaken severely when that news breaks. Much of this oil for Juan news is public information, yet for some strange reason, there's a form of blindness within Western policymaking and media circles concerning the implications of Juan for oil. The idea is so off the wall that many policy leaders simply ignore it. Ignore away. But we could wake up one morning in the midst of a massive currency crisis in which dollar values are falling and oil prices and dollars are soaring. Jim Rickards, and I strongly recommend a 10% allocation of your investment portfolio to precious metals. That's his advice. You know it's mine because I'm a big precious metals fan. And because I'm going to say it again, you want a 10-ounce bar of silver at spot price. No premium, at spot price. 10-ounce bar. Tiny shipping fee. Look in the description of my video. You'll see a link to sdbullion.com/jsnip4. Proclaim Liberty 10-ounce bar. It's a freaking spot price with that code JSNIP4. But if you go to the link, that link will take care of you. It's the days are numbered. The US dollar days are numbered. You've got to diversify away from that and anything that touches that. That's why I'm heavily in a silver guy. You know I love silver. I'm all in on silver. I don't have any gold besides a tiny bit of jewelry, and that don't count, really. And my new thing, which has been new for quite a while now, shouldn't really call it new, cryptocurrencies. Another way to make a freaking small fortune, if not a big fortune, depending on how much money you've been putting in these things lately. Whoa. Unfortunately, I don't have a special link to go to some cryptocurrency site where you can get, Bitcoin at a discount. That is not happening. Take care.